Yeah, I think, all too often people expect that you can snap your fingers and it'll go from where it is to where you want it to be.
Right.
And unfortunately, it takes a lot of pieces coming together to sort of make a downtown work. And this sounds like one interesting step towards that goal. And I love this unique concept of asking people what they think will actually work. Instead of getting the opinions of the few, you get the opinions of the many, which is great. Now, how do you anticipate getting the opinions of the many?
Well, we have a twofold process in terms of finding out information and opinions about the residents. One is an online survey that we created, which is linked to through our website, www.peabodyculturalcollaborative.org. And it's about 15 questions that anyone can log on. We really encourage everybody to log on and register their opinion. Talking about how you feel about downtown Peabody. Do you feel welcome there? What kinds of things do you do down there that are enjoyable? What else would you like to see? And then more specifically, if we were to have a cultural community center, what kind of activities would you like to see there? So people can go fill out the survey, and then we'll be analyzing the results, and that will be up throughout the year. Also on the website, there's a feedback form, so people can just send in emails with their opinions if they don't feel like filling out the survey. The other prong of the research effort is focus groups. We're doing 4 total focus groups. We've done 2 already. I did one at the Brooksby Senior Center with Susan a couple of months ago, and I did one recently at the Peabody Library with 20s and 30s. We're going to be doing one with the downtown businesses, and then the 4th one we're planning, which is May 26th at 6:30. It's sort of a neighborhood focus group. I'm trying to find out what people are interested in terms of the multicultural aspects of Peabody. There's such a rich history of different cultures here, and just in the few focus groups that I've done so far, people have expressed an enormous interest in learning more about the different cultures, whether it be the Greeks or the Brazilians or the Portuguese, about their arts, their culture, their cuisine, all of that.
Nice.
So we are going to try and bring people representing those communities into this focus group and hear about what they have to say.
So, Susan, is it your hope that this becomes sort of the cultural hub of the downtown?
We would love to have our property on Foster Street become part of the emerging cultural district, because there's an emerging cultural district in the downtown area with the library. It has some beautiful art. The properties on Upper Washington owned by the Historical Society and the Leatherworkers Museum at the other end of Washington Street, and City Hall has such wonderful artwork, and we would love to become another anchor in that emerging cultural district. So our hope is that we would like to start offering inclusive community art classes. Our hope is to have a pottery studio at the Foster Street building. Existing there now is our chair caning company, which for many years we've been doing chair caning for residents and for antiques dealers who might want to restore some chairs. And our folks would love to have a community class for members of the community who would like to learn how to do chair caning. So this project, the research that Jean is doing, has been funded through a grant from the Adams Arts Planning Program, and that's through the Mass Cultural Council. So we were able to hire Jean to do this research, and once we get the input from the residences and businesses, we as a group, the Cultural Collaborative, would look at, all right, so what is the programming that we could offer that meets the interests of the community? So yes, we do hope it will be a long-term effort.
Right, right. And you said you did a couple of focus groups already. Did you get any early feedback in terms of what people would like to see? And
One of the most interesting threads between I found so fascinating. We had a lot of people in their 80s and a lot of people in their 20s, and they all wanted to learn drumming.
Really?
Yeah. Drumming was a big thread. I even got an email from a woman from Brooksby after the focus group telling me she was sorry she couldn't be there, but she wanted to be sure I knew. She was very interested in learning about drumming of different cultures. and how that maybe even was reflected in the different populations in Peabody. And it came up again at the 20s and 30s something focus group, how interesting it would be to learn drumming and do music and then have food that was of the similar ethnic groups at the same time. So that was a common thread.
Wow.
Yeah, and art studio space and exhibition space is also seeming to be important to people. A place where they can both practice and exhibit their artwork.
Now, is that what you mean by an inclusive art studio?
Well, for folks who aren't familiar with the ARC, we support kids and adults with disabilities and their families. We have an art program called ArcWorks that has historically provided specialty classes for folks with disabilities. With the expansion at Foster Street, we're interested in having inclusive classes, so it will be for the whole community.
Great.
So we are definitely looking to have a lot of community involvement at the building at Foster Street, whether it's to come and see the mural and see the other artwork of the folks participating in the programs, or to take a class. So we're really looking for it to be a community center, and
So you really envision art classes being conducted there and having showings, if there's a local artist that wants to exhibit their works, they would be able to come there.
But we're in the process of setting up kind of a membership, low cost, no cost membership to be part of the center, and absolutely we're definitely interested in having community art exhibits.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Deanne, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you believe that something like this will have the positive impact that they seem to be thinking would be there?
Yeah, I do, Dave. I mean, as we've talked about before, I mean, just when you get in there and you see the mural, it's very impressive. So I think the location itself lends itself very nicely to being an art collaborative studio. And I also think that it's just one more reason that, people will come downtown or come to Peabody in general. Plenty of other surrounding communities have a very thriving art community, and ours probably is a little bit more fragmented. But I think this might be it's really kind of, it's new, it's exciting, and I think that there are a lot of other organizations in town that can work together to build some synergy off of it and, raise the level of awareness within the community as well. And all of this will go on. We have to do these little baby steps, if you will, while some of the bigger projects are going on in town. Whether it's the traffic or the flooding or, revitalization. You take a look at Main Street, and if you actually stop and take a step back, the architecture of many of the buildings is beautiful. But unfortunately, most people don't stop to even notice it anymore. So this way, if they're out of their car, they're walking in and out of a building, they're walking to a restaurant to grab something to eat because they're already downtown, hopefully they'll see the other benefits of what Peabody has to offer.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've done that. We did a show where we walked around and kind of showed people the buildings and the facades of the buildings and what's here, and unfortunately, I think you're right. The word doesn't get out about the positive things that are available there. Of course, we all hear about when it floods, but none of us hear about something exciting that's happening like this, where you're bringing in a whole dimension to the community. And I think that's really important that the word get out there. And I think hopefully that as this matures and becomes from dream to reality, that a lot of effort is put out to draw the people in, because you can go by the theory of if you build it, they'll come, or you can say I'm going to get them to come, by really pulling and advertising and making people
It's part
aware.
of the research as well, as figuring out how people get their information. Where do they look to find out what's going on in their community, and then that way we'll know where to place information.
I'm surprised the number of people who watched the show who would say to me, "Gee, I never knew that was there," or I didn't realize we had that.
A lot of hidden treasures.
Yeah, and these are really very much hidden treasures. Now, how did the extra space become available? I mean, that was a full
Well,
building before.
Right. We've been in the square for 30 years, and historically we had vocational programs throughout the building. We offer contract services for local businesses. We do mailings, assembly, and so on, and it's all providing work for people with disabilities. Last summer, for budgetary reasons, our transportation department is in Danvers, and it made sense for us to move the vocational programs with the transportation. So now at the building, we still have shredding and recycling businesses for folks with disabilities, and the chair caning company. But with the shift, we had some space available that enabled us to fulfill a 5-year plan for the ArcWorks art program, which was to be part of a community art center in a downtown neighborhood. And we just said, you know, it's our own space, and it's fabulous because it allows us to do just what we had hoped, to be really a true part of the community and provide real opportunities for the folks that we support to be full members of the community and able to be known as artists, artists first. So we're very excited about the project, and have found some great partners in the community doing other good work and kind of heading in the same direction.